Hey everyone, it's Jonny and Simone,
Hi.
and we're here having a chat about QR codes in the classroom for ICT this year. So Jonny and I have been talking about kind of engagement and looking at incentives for students to actually click on a QR code in the classroom and how that can change the classroom landscape. So Jonny, we were talking about gallery walks.
Yeah, so we were thinking of, instead of getting students to do a task and maybe, if they've got quite a bit of work to do, instead of looking through a textbook for finding information, they could get out of their seat and scan a QR code for a specific bit of information.
Yeah.
Depending on what question they're up to, or they could just find different sorts of resources as well.
Yeah.
So it gets them out of their seat, gets them a little bit more engaged. Because not everyone just wants to sit there and wait for their work.
Do a worksheet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're also talking about quizzes and not printing the answers out, but having a QR code to all the answers. And that kind of can be a really clever way to make students a little more self-disciplined. So they can do the test and then look afterwards, because it can be a little bit of a barrier to the information by having a QR code rather than a handout. Jonny and I also talked about the fact that the information on the other end of a QR code really needs to be something that a student wants to see for them to click on it.
Yeah, and again, talking about obviously the ones you use in the classroom are going to be safe, but if a student clicks on a random one, it could lead to some inappropriate material.
Yeah.
But one of the other good things is doing the audio voiceover. So, for example, you give your student some sort of task or something to set, for home, and you might have thought, okay, I've given them a sheet, but I could have added in some tips and things. So instead of giving them another sheet, you could actually just make a recording and give the QR code to the students so they can listen to your voice at home. Or, do it in different language. You could speak in a different language and the students have to listen to the audio file from the QR code, which is really accessible. You just put it on their student email or something, and then they would have to get back to you the next day in terms of what did you say. So it's a good exercise like that. There's pros and cons.
Yeah, so all that leads us on to some of the cons that we were talking about, and we had a really big discussion about inequality in the classroom. So what happens if one of your kids can't afford a mobile phone that can scan a QR code, or they forget their phone? So what happens when they don't have that access? Does that mean that they can't access the information for the rest of the lesson?
Yeah, and we're also talking about phones in classrooms in general. A lot of schools are very negative towards, so you would have to, I guess, the principal walks past your room and all the kids have got their phones out. You've got to have a think about the school policies, because some schools will be fine with it, but others are just strictly no phone policy, unless it's for some sort of learning, but you would have to explain that. And then, I guess you would have to try and convince students that this is learning time, it's not fun and games. Even though it's an enjoyable experience, it's...
Yeah. But maybe I think QR codes then could be a really positive way of talking about time management on phones. So if you're like, well, look, this is a way that we're going to use our phones today as a learning opportunity, that might encourage them to think about the time management and how they use their phones in the classroom to begin with. So I think there's a lot of things to talk about and a lot to hash out with QR codes, but they could be a really powerful tool.
Yeah, I think they're really good.
Yeah. Well, that's Jonny and Simone signing off.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.